And suddenly, I was there. All alone, no other people, no guide, and close to no internet. It surely wasn't easy to make this video. And in order to understand what I mean, let's start from the beginning. Hello again. Wow, a bit windy. Hello again from Riga, Latvia. It is actually not that cold as I expected it to be. I was already kind of worried when I saw that it was snowing this morning. However, now temperatures are quite nice again. Just like my beautiful hairstyle as of right now. It's gonna go back and wow, this is crazy. Anyway, we're gonna go back into the cold. This is gonna be a solo trip. There's nobody around from my family. We're gonna have a little solo trip on here. We never had a solo trip on this channel, I just noticed. This is crazy. 2 hours and 25 minutes. Because we're gonna go to the coast of Latvia. All right, let's see how this goes. We now left Riga like, I don't know, 10-15 minutes ago, and we're now driving through the forests of Latvia. There was a time where Latvia and some other states were part of a bigger state, which was the Soviet Union. And within the times of the Soviet Union, we had something called a Cold War. Yes, it was a war. Yes, missiles were launched. Shots were fired. However, they only did that on their own country because they were basically just testing. So what happened, if you don't know what the Cold War is that the United States of America and the USSR, the Soviet Union, developed a whole lot of technology, like mostly military related, like planes, missiles, rockets, and the only goal was to basically show to the enemy state that they were better. You know, it was basically them just, comparing their little ones. One part was developing some cool technology that is better than the technology the other state has. However, the other thing is they also had to protect their own technology so that no spies could get some information on what they're currently developing so that the other country has an advantage and develops something even cooler, you know? So what the Soviet Union did was that it put all of those research projects or development projects for new cool things into cities that were simply not on the map or were erased from the maps. Therefore, the enemy simply wasn't able to find it that easily. And those cities, they're basically all over the states of the former Soviet Union. Some of those cities, they're still intact, they still have been repurposed and people are living normally there. Some others these days lie completely abandoned. Cold War has ended and there was no more need for it. So yes, both of those things exist, and today we're actually going to take a look at a few of those cities. The sun is coming out, actually. I expected the complete opposite weather today. I feel like that's a good sign. That's a good sign that we're gonna have a nice adventure, that we don't have to, like, cancel early because of bad weather. This is the direction where we're going. Direction of Irbene. That is gonna be where our first stop will be. Well, so much for the good weather, huh? The sun sank deeper and deeper, and I became more and more worried about not being able to visit the other location I had in mind. So at some point, I had to make a decision. A little change of plans as the sun is already quite low. We're gonna go to another destination that I, really wanted to see. 41 minutes have been added to this hour that I still need to drive anyway. Yeah, that's the reality of things sometimes, you know? That's a problem when you go to Latvia in winter. that you do not really have that much daylight time. As I was driving through the swampy forest and the road started to get progressively worse, I was filled with excitement. Excitement to finally get rewarded for driving that far. And suddenly, I was there. All alone, no other people, no guide, and close to no internet. This was a feeling I have never experienced before. I have seen abandoned buildings before, but only on guided tours. Wow. Guys, this is amazing. I just thought, we probably still have to go like a few kilometers somewhere deeper into this forest. But here we are. Irbene. The first two buildings. One here and one there. Let's wish for the best for our car. Hoping that it stays right here. And let's go see what we can find here. E, or edge, right here. That is all that can keep us safe. I gotta say that I have massive respect for everything here. Right now, in the beginning I was all like, this is gonna be super fun. Yay. Abandoned city and stuff. But as I said, I'm creeped out. But now we're here. You can access this place without any fees or something else. But it's at your own risk. You always have to remember, this was once the home of a person. The center of their lives, so to say. Of course, they're now long gone, but they looked outside this window and saw the beautiful forest here and there, secret city, all of that. It's been a whole life here. I don't know, if you ever moved in your life, you might know this feeling of moving out and seeing your empty apartment, and you just can't help but think of all of the memories. You remember all of the things that happened there, and now you're just leaving that place for someone else to have their memories there. Kind of hard to say if it's safe to go up. As I said, everything is at your own risk. No one's here to save you. Oh look, there's a little bit of wallpaper left. Original wallpaper that they had here in this home. And some old electric installations. And who knows if we should step on this floor, but this might have been the kitchen. You can also see here that this front yard has been completely reclaimed by nature right now. They built this city in 1971, the Soviets, in order to build a huge radio telescope, which they called звезда, which is a star, even though it doesn't even have the shape of a star or anything. But all of those people here were military personnel working on this project, the звезда, with the goal to catch communication of the enemy. So it is quite a good radio telescope actually, with a diameter of 32 meters, and it was once one of the best, most accurate in Northern Europe. Also, when I say enter at your own risk, just look what happened here. This is what happens over time. There's no guarantee that these buildings will still stand in a few years. We could even go to the basement here if we wanted, but I don't have any flashlight with me, so who knows which family once lived here, what this room was, or how long they stayed here. If I wasn't alone, I would be very much tempted to go all the way up. But nobody knows how stable the roof will still be. So yeah. Now the only thing that's left are those views. Not even any windows. Little storage space up here. Anyway, you look at this wallpaper remains here. That one looks a little bit friendlier, so this might have been the room of a child. You can still see some different fruits on here and the view on this other absolutely amazing building. Okay, my son is like not even 1 year old, so don't expect any I risked my life to climb one of those buildings kind of content. I feel like we've already seen what an average apartment in this building looked like. Every now and then you hear some sounds in this building, and you never know. Behind those 2 blocks that we saw there, we also have a few more blocks. This one over there, and one on this side, and this little other 1-story block. We probably should see that we still make it on time, so we probably still have some daylight in order to see the highlight of this whole trip, which is going to be this radio telescope. I should have gone further by car, but you know, I've been sitting for all that time. Damn it, I mean, this took longer than our whole flight to Latvia. I was driving for about 3 hours now, so a little bit of walking is gonna, you know, help to reactivate, wow, to reactivate the body a little bit. And also, who knows if there's like anything where it's possible to park, because every now and then actually some cars pass through here. I can't tell if they're like any personnel of some sort of this radio dish, as it's still being used to this day by a company or organization called IRAC, and they still do some research with this telescope. So the entrance itself, as you can see, is completely free. You stumble upon it by accident, boom, you're here. Yeah. That is crazy, you know, if you think about it, in Germany, you would probably have to pay to visit this area. That would be the first thing. And the second thing would also be, you would not be allowed to go inside of those buildings, which I do kind of understand, honestly. It is dangerous. Let's be real there. It is dangerous. Okay, so here's the situation. I took a look at the map to see where I need to go. And they do have a kind of visitor center. So there we definitely can go, even though we cannot enter the satellite dish thing, because that is only available with guided tours, and those guided tours are only available from April to November. So that means we're once again at that point where you really ask yourself, why the hell would you go here in January? But that's okay. That is okay. I'm rambling a lot in this video. This is crazy. Usually I don't do that. Why am I doing this? Okay. So there's a little bit of a confusion here. That right here is the visitor center where you know, register for tours and things. The actual telescope is actually more in this direction that we're going to anyway. You see that? Still a bit far though. Look at that. Virac, one of their buildings. It's the new owner of this place. This video has a lot of change of plans, but this is quite far to walk actually. And probably if I walked there, I would no longer catch anything in sunlight. It will get very dark soon. There's no lights here. So, car it is. I do have to say, you know, it reminds me a little bit of my trip that I did in Chernobyl. Even though, of course, this one, you know, they just left it because in the end, you know, the Soviet Union collapsed. And 2 years later, in 1993, they gave up on the city and the people left it. So it's not as much of a tragic destiny as the people in Ukraine had in Chernobyl, but it's still quite impressive. And it gives the same feeling, except that I now finally know how to use a camera and not how it was when I went to Chernobyl with my completely new camcorder and made my first video on this channel right here. But now, many years later, we're back in an abandoned city like that. and can enjoy it in some more or less good quality, depending how the editing is gonna go. And yes, I know that I'm on some weird side quest again, even though I said we're gonna go to this radio thing. Radio transmitter? Well, what's the name? Radio telescope. There you go. Sorry. Well, at least it was a little bit of a smaller building. Whatever, I guess. What a journey. Both on the video and on this channel in general. Yes, okay. As I said, like, I'm rambling a lot in this video. This is probably just to keep myself sane in a place like this. I like those places, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm a big fan of Soviet stuff and also those abandoned buildings, but it's easier to at least talk to you guys while I'm walking around here. Okay, that being said, we're now really gonna go to the car and really gonna see this damn satellite dish. If it wasn't for me, and if it wasn't for those birds, it would be completely quiet. It was probably a lot louder when people still lived here. In a way of, you know, they made, I don't know, human noises. You, every now and then, might have heard, I don't know, some window banging, or some people screaming, or some kids playing. But now, simply nothing. My car is still there. My car is still intact. Let's go. Further than we've ever gone before. This is where the road leads us. Man, the GoPro's battery is almost dead. I've been talking way too much in this video. Who knows if maybe there are some guards who can shoot my tires, but I'm pretty sure with this kind of road I would still be able to break them before the gods would even be able to shoot. Wow. We have arrived. It's still a little bit of light and we made it. In this direction there's seemingly some, I don't know, ATV kind of area. I'm not entirely sure. But in this direction, there it is. It looks tiny with this lens. But it's actually quite big. So let's get a bigger lens and take a closer look at that thing. But right here is the fence. So obviously without any permission or without any guided tour, you're not able to enter that. As I said, guided tours are between April and November. And until then, we can at least see it like this. There it is. This massive thing. The звезда. There it was. The absolute highlight of the day and the proof that the effort to get here was worth it. Happily, I entered the car to go back. It was, however, only then when I noticed. We're leaving Irbene. I'm absolutely destroyed now. This was supposed to be one of the greatest things on this whole trip, and I did not pay attention to my microphones, and only when I wanted to turn them off for this segment where I'm only driving anyway and do everything with GoPro, I noticed that I turned on the wrong microphone. Basically all of the audio is useless because this other microphone was in my pocket and was constantly just recording the clacking of the keys while I was walking. Every now and then you understand like one or two words of what I'm saying, and after that it is just the clacking of the keys once again. I tried my best to somehow reconstruct in one way or another what I was saying, so I guess we gotta live with that for now. Well, what should I say? Like, nothing really went as planned on this trip. Absolutely nothing. We did not see two locations as I originally wanted. We had this microphone problem here, and now it's dark, and it doesn't really make that much sense time-wise to go to that place and then back to Riga. So I guess we're just ending this with a little bit of a disappointment here. Nevertheless, I hope that you still enjoyed this weirdly synchronized video of our little Soviet adventure here. And I also hope that you enjoyed this series in general, because this is the last video of the series for now, as we've only been here for a few days. But yeah, so at least you saw one of those secret Soviet cities that you usually don't see, and you also saw the reality behind some days, even on social media, which is also something that you don't really see that much. Even though that now, of course, doesn't make me look as professional as some other videos made me do. But yeah, that is simply the reality. That being said, thank you so much for watching, and let's get out of here.